No place makes breakfast quite like the famous franchise Wimpy. And I was there once with my family, and we were having breakfast. And I ordered, bacon, eggs, toast, wors, not to be confused with wors, of course. And it was so good. Oh, it was delicious. Or I could have been hungry. Who can say? Sometimes something is delicious, or sometimes you're just hungry and you think it's delicious. I don't know. But anyways, let's not get off track with the story. And yeah, so I'm a bit of a slow eater, so I take my time when I eat. It's a you know I'm not like I'm not that person. But everybody else, the problem was everybody else around me was done eating, so I felt okay. I felt a bit rushed, so I was like, okay, let me try and eat as quickly as possible. And then I get to the bacon. The final part is the bacon, because we save the best for last, and we all know bacon is the best. Well, not all of us. Shout out if you're Muslim. And so I take the whole piece, just eating it, and then suddenly I feel a very strange sensation. Just the piece of bacon, the one part of the piece of bacon is in my mouth, and the other part is in my throat. And I start panicking. I'm like, and I'm like, okay, just swallow. Swallowing is not working. Okay. Plan B, coffee. Coffee's done. Oh no, I'm choking. Plan C, ask someone for help. And my family, they just like this, looking at me like that. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, help me, I'm choking. And they're like, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in Wimpy. Fine. Then I was like, no, my survival instincts kicked in. Plan D, use these fingers, and just got it out. And I was like, just tears running down my face. And I'm looking at them, and then just like, oh, he's done. And then they're like, let's go. And I was like, bacon is the best. Let's start the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And yeah, this is all over the show where Xavier goes all over the place. He really does. And I'm just a place where I explore my thoughts, explore my mind a little bit, a fun exercise. I consider it to be a fun exercise, and I'm sure you do too, since you are literally a viewer. And speaking of viewers, I've been quite lately. I felt a bit intimidated by the viewership. Just the you know if I didn't know any better, it looked like declining numbers, and I'm just like, oh no, this is not good. Because yeah, then I also realized, why am I so obsessed with the numbers, man? It's not about the numbers. So I've just been trying to come to terms with that, coming to terms with the fact that I don't need to use those as a metric the for my self-worth, because I think that's what I've been doing. I've been placing my self-worth so closely to the numbers that I see, and it doesn't make any sense. Those numbers have nothing to do with my idea of my self-worth, what value I place on myself. And I think a lot of people actually experience that, and you just can't. You just think realistically. Those numbers have nothing to do with who you are as a person, right? It's literally just the content that is consumed. How many people are consuming the content that you make? Don't attach personal value to the content you make. That's what I'm trying to do. And obviously it's been a bit of a ride, emotionally, because I was like, first I was disappointed, and then I was, like, worse than disappointed even. I felt a bit sad, and I was like, why are you sad by this? you know so I just decided to think back to basics. What was the original idea? And the original idea was just for me to do this. Whether or not there are viewers is beside the point, to be honest. I need to do this for me. I mean, I enjoy doing this. It's a fun exercise. Um, I enjoy it so much that I make time for it. I literally take time out of my day, out of my week, to do this. So I do consider it something of value. And I've just been trying to, you know, not let the numbers bother me so much, because it really it provides an intimidating feeling, and I'm not trying to be intimidated by the numbers. That's ridiculous. I mean, geez, like, it's like it's not like I'm a football player whose value is determined by how many successful passes he makes, or how many complete passes he makes, or how many assists he makes, how many crosses into the box, or how many shots taken, how many shots on target, how many goals made. It's not like that. Being on YouTube and all that, it's not really like that. Although you can't ignore the fact that um, I'm obviously not doing this for nothing. I do have a bit of a goal in mind, and that is obviously to have this show become popular. It's not necessarily the case that I want to be popular. It's just that it just so happens that I'm the subject of the show. I am the person on the screen. I am the person you're watching, you're listening to, and I guess I should not. I should. What I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to separate myself from the show, meaning that this is just me participating in this show. But beyond this, like once I'm done recording, I shouldn't be like, that's me and that's who I am. Like, nah, this is just part of who I am. I mean, the only people that know fully who I am is just the people who are close to me, who I choose to spend time with and share time with. So yeah, so I'm done being intimidated by the numbers. I'm doing this for me. I need to remember that. I need to constantly remind myself that the metrics don't matter, really. I mean, yes, if I want to turn this into a successful business at some point, sure. Especially if I want to treat it like a business, then the numbers have a bit of a performance element to it, which I have tried to remedy anyways, just by figuring out when to post, what's the best time to post, just doing a lot of research. And so I'll be posting on Fridays from now on. It's not even Friday right now, but you're going to be watching this on Friday. So I'm posting the show on Fridays now. I think, based on my research, Mondays is the worst day to post. Actually, it's the second worst day. Tuesday is officially the worst day to post. So, especially on YouTube. On social media, though, it's interesting. On social media, throughout the week, especially like Facebook, Monday to Thursday, best days to post on social media. TikTok, Tuesday to Wednesday, best days to post on TikTok. Instagram, Tuesdays and Thursdays, not Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the best days to post on Instagram. I think I might be mistaken. I stand under correction, but so it's so interesting. So you can't really consider YouTube as part of the sphere of social media. It's more like a streaming platform. Actually, it's not a social media platform. So yeah, so I've just been trying to get a hang of the mechanics of when to post, and so yeah, I obviously I'm still in the experimental phase of the show. I'm still trying to find how the show's gonna work, and there will be a lot of new things, different things happening um, in the show. But okay, anyways, if you're not familiar, welcome. Okay, I think if this is the first time you're watching, you are probably now realizing what the title is all about all over the show, because I have just gone through a whole process of thinking. um, so yeah. What else have I been thinking? I was thinking lately that, friends are few, and I've just been wondering why that is. So I decided to do a little bit of research and just try and get to the bottom of it. It took me forever, by the way. I've been thinking about this for months, because it's like I have friends, or rather, you think you have friends, and then it's like you don't get invited to a wedding. You don't get invited to, a special event in that person's life, a special time in that person's life, and you're like, whoa. It's like then you think about, am I this person's friend? And you don't want to now confront it, because it's like, it's not that big of a deal, but kind of to me it is. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah. So I just been feeling like, geez, like maybe I'm not that great of a friend really to anybody, and I think so. I think that might be the case. So that part of the investigation led me down a different rabbit hole. wondering, why is that the case? Why have I been able to only connect with people on a very shallow level, and why on the deep level, the deep connections that I have with people are so few and far between, you know? I mean, my weekends are not really spent hanging out with people, which is not necessarily a bad thing, you know. Some of the people I look up to have been these reclusive, you know, people, and but I do enjoy being social. So it's like it really goes against, you know, really my being to be alone, to be spending my time with myself. It's not ideal, and I have that desire to want to hang out with people, you know, but not on a superficial level anymore. Not on a superficial level anymore. I want to have deeper friendships, and I do have one or two friendships that I consider to be permanent and deep, and that are still running continuously, and so yeah, shout out to Joshua, by the way, because that's kind of the person I'm talking about. But yeah, I just wonder, like, geez, like it's so fascinating when you think you have a connection with somebody, and then you basically deceived yourself. So my research eventually led me to the conclusion that this is what happens when you have a parent in the military, because you grow up realizing eventually, especially as a child, and it's so crazy that you come to this realization at such a young age, that the friends you have are not going to be necessarily your, like, you're not going to be friends with them forever. And that's a bit of a sorry if I'm fiddling here. That's a bit of a, that was an interesting realization, a hard pill to swallow. A hard pill to swallow. Because if you don't know this, military kids move around a lot, you know. Your parent or parents might be deployed elsewhere, and now as a family you guys need to pack up all your things and move, and that's why I hate moving. Moving sucks, man. Even though I'm an expert at it, like, ask me to pack a truck or a trailer or a boot, I am the expert in that, son. Even if you ask me to play Tetris, I will master that thing. But no, I don't want to get too much into games. I'm really scared of playing games too much, because I enjoy it too much. I'm scared of anything I enjoy too much, and I do believe that's wise. I think it's wise to be wary of that which you enjoy too much, because it might be your what is it, your it might be your undoing. Is that what they call it? Yeah, it might be your undoing. You might be in this position where you think that you're doing okay and you're enjoying something, like for me it's games. I love games too much, and then I'm gonna end up playing games non-stop, ignoring hunger, ignoring the need for sleep, ignoring the need for human interaction, just playing games. And that's, I guess it's just certain things in that's available to me that I try to avoid, because it can really, I can really get stuck into it. So I guess I have a bit of an addictive personality. It's weird to say that, because it's what I don't mean is addictive personality as in, oh, your personality is so addictive. I don't believe that's the case. Wouldn't that be weird? But what I mean is that I can easily get hooked on something. And I'm not talking about substances necessarily. I'm just talking about, if I'm into something enough, I'm gonna obsess over it. That's basically what it is. So I've decided, okay, instead of being obsessed about video games, be obsessed about books, be obsessed about art, be obsessed about music. These are, for me, worthwhile pursuits. And yeah, so I've taken advantage of that, I think, and I think it's the only way you really find this out about yourself is by writing. Honestly, you have to read a lot, and you have to write a lot, and you have to, when you're writing, you're figuring yourself out, you're journaling, you're writing about your thoughts and why you have these thoughts. Investigate that thought until you reach some kind of conclusion. And what Nietzsche suggests is, like, when you explore a thought to the point where it becomes absurd, that is where you've reached now the edge of your thinking. And that's what I've been trying to do as well, is like write so much about one thing, about one thought, investigate it. So that's what I've done. I've investigated the idea of maybe me being not such a great friend, you know? Um, and so it's led me to that point eventually, because it's even the case that I haven't really made friends that easily in life. You know how you know how to navigate the social realm, but making a friend is so tough, I think. It's so rare, especially when you have a true friend, somebody that you'd be like, you know what, dude, for you I would take a bullet, and I know you would take a bullet for me as well. It's just like that. Maybe that's just a fantasy, but that's a desire that I have. you know some people are fortunate to have two or three friends where it's like you'd have that. But okay, I'm getting a bit too deep into my own personal thinking. But yeah, so anyways, being part of a military household actually has a lot of problems, connected with it. There's a lot of, especially socially, you become recluse, you become socially awkward, you become, you know, shallow in the way that you view relationships, and that has been the case, for a long time. It's until we decided to actually stay here, and even now, like, my father does not live here; he lives in a different place. Um, and because of the nature of his job, and it's like, you just kind of have this, you never really have this settled feeling, this feeling of like, okay, we are, stable. So I mean, the longest time that I've been living in a place is here in Bloemfontein. I've been living here for, let's see, since 2011. Wow, that's 13 years, dude. 13 years. And in that time, my father has already moved away twice. So my whole life been moving around, and it is disruptive. It is disruptive to your school, to your friendships, to just your development, your human development, because there's a lot of things that don't come naturally to me, that aren't easy to me, that like with the example of making friends. It should be like the most natural thing in the world, but I overthink it so much, to the point where I put so much pressure on us, like, I'm gonna definitely ruin this friendship, let me avoid friendships altogether. you know and then in the back of your mind, it's also that fear of, if I make a friend and it's a really good connection, then I will never see this person again, because we're gonna move away again. So I'm very much and then it's also like creates the additional problem of being inflexible when it comes to relocation, because sometimes you need to relocate, sometimes you need to go to a place that's better for you. That's why you go, is because it might be better for you to be there. And I'm so resistant towards that. It's like, I don't want to move anywhere, man. I hate moving, dude. Once you get used to a place, you want to feel like this place is yours. You want to feel like you are home, that this environment is now the one constant. But then it's like so destabilizing. You have to move again and get used to a new environment, and it takes a while. That's what we are as animals. Even a cat. If you take a cat to a new house, that cat 9 times out of 10 will run away back to the old house. That's literally because that's where it's familiar, that's where it's comfortable. you know and in order for a cat to get used to the place, you really need to let the cat explore every part, and that's what cats do as well. They explore every part of that, and in a similar way, that's what we do. That's why we explore. That's why us as human beings have been so, pardon me, have been so obsessed with exploration. It's literally one of the main human characteristics is curiosity, and exploring that curiosity. And so that's why they say curiosity killed the cat. That is the expression, because sometimes you find yourself, because of curiosity, you find yourself in a dangerous situation that you might not have been able to anticipate. So it's like, it's interesting. And yeah, so uh, sorry, I've just been hit with so many different thoughts. Like, for example, I think it's Nietzsche or Carl Jung that said something about, be careful. No, it was Nietzsche. He said, in Beyond Good and Evil, he mentioned something about, you can tell the strength of a man by how much truth he's able to accept. you know Yeah, that's a fascinating one because there are obviously when it comes to truth, there are many layers when it comes to truth. You know, there's the truth about the world, there's the truth about life, then there's the truth about yourself. And I think the deeper you go, that's when you become more of a stronger person. I think that's what he's talking about because well, once you're able to admit certain things to yourself, you literally become this, you know, you become more and more actualized, you know. As an individual, you realize who you are and what you're about and what you want and what you don't want and what you like and what you don't like, you know, and where you want to be and where you don't want to be and what you prefer and what you and where your true desires lie, what your true intentions are, you know, how much of a bad person can you be, how much of a good person can you be, and that's an important thing to explore, you know. But some people don't want to confront that because it's too much, you know. The truth is like fire, and most of us are, you know, most of us are built on lies, and that lies is like, you know, dead wood. And if that fire of truth comes along and burns your dead wood, you know, you might be 97% dead wood, and yeah, and then there's nothing left of you once it's done. So understandably you could be afraid of the truth, you know. And Nietzsche, he never said anything carelessly, you know. He wrote it in a book, so obviously through many editings and many thoughts regarding that particular line that he wrote there, it's like he was not reckless, you know. He was precise with his words, and how true it can be, you know. I'm not saying everything Nietzsche says is true, but it's fascinating. So that was the one thought that struck me, and the other thought that struck me was just about soccer. I don't know why. It's just randomly. Sometimes it happens because in my head, and this is another ADHD explanation. All right, in my head, the way that information flows is not linear. It's not like this thought leads into that thought leads into that thought. You know, there's no logical thing. It's more like there are a bunch of ribbons just floating around, and when a ribbon touches, that's when we literally transfer from the one coherent thought to the next coherent thought in an incoherent way. And that is how my thoughts work. And sometimes multiple connections are made at the same time, and that kind of like puts you in a bit of a, you know, cognitive dissonance because you're like, what, you know. And then you eventually find your way, and then you have to like choose a thought, kind of which one's more interesting, because you're probably going to forget about the other thought anyway. So you have to literally consciously choose, am I going to say this or am I going to say that, you know. And speaking of saying things, speaking of saying things, um, I have a lot of insults in my head sometimes, man. You know, and it's not insults in the way that I don't like that person and therefore I have bad things to say. It's not like that, you know. It's more like just poking fun, but you're so scared to say it because, you know, and you know that's also like how friends can be made. Like if I diss you and you diss me and we both laugh about it, it's like it's actually funny, you know. And then that's a kind of a connection that gets made, and that's what friends do sometimes. They give each other some serious insults, you know. And the measurement of that is literally just your ability to take a joke. And for me, like I connect with people who can take a joke, and I know in the past I've been someone that's been unable to take a joke without realizing it's just a joke. Stop taking it seriously, you know. But I know not everybody's like that, so I don't want to come across as mean. So I have all these insults just here in the back of my head to people that I know. That's like, nah, you probably shouldn't say that. So I'm gonna say it on here, not directed at anyone specifically. Actually, it is, but it's not with any malice. But I'm also not gonna name names and point faces, name faces and point names. Anyways, so okay, so I've written a few down, just a few, just off the top of my head. And the first one is like, I know a guy that looks like if Jesus had Down syndrome. You know, like he looks like, you know, he looks like a little special Jesus. I don't know what to tell you. That is what he looks like. You know, you can fight me on that if you want, but it's just a joke, man. Come on. Then the other one, I know a few people, quite a few people actually, who look like they could be the main customer at McDonald's. you know, and then there's and then there's also people that I know that look like they are in competition with the people that are the main customers of McDonald's. Like, they're coming up in the ranks, what I mean. Anyways, what else? What else did I write here? I wrote a few down. Okay, this is my last one. I'm not gonna go too much into this. I also know a guy who, if he was food, he would be dry bread. And I'm talking about not like fresh dry bread. I'm talking about when you leave the bread out for like, a day and it's just dry as hell. You just like it's crunchy, but it's not toasted, dude. you know, uh, in other words, he's boring. He's just boring. You get such people, man. When you talk to them, it feels like all the moisture has been taken out of your body, and it's just like real dry. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you talk to them, it's like, oh, okay, so I must be dreaming because this can't be real. You know, or you even start wondering, is this a real person that's talking to me right now? Am I not hallucinating this conversation? You just get such people, man. But you can never say these things to people, man. You can never say it to people because it's definitely. I feel like those ones are a bit too harsh. They might take it personally, and I don't understand why people take anything personally. To be honest, you know, like even if I think about the word offense, like to be offensive means to attack. And if you take words as an attack, man, then what is it gonna be when you actually attack, like physically? You know, a verbal attack is just words. And if you really think about it, words are just sounds that are made with the mouth. It's a combination of the mouth, the voice box, and the air that goes through it. So if there's no air coming through, then there's no words that can be said. You know, worse if it's written down, like you really can't pay attention to that. So like even for me, like I'm convinced one day, once the show becomes more popular, or not once it becomes more popular, but I'm pretty sure at some point there's gonna be negative comments everywhere. And at that point you just can't read those comments, man. Because you know as human beings, we take those words seriously, and we shouldn't. You should not take the stuff that people say about you seriously, because what they have to say is more a reflection of what they feel, you know, than what it says about you, I think it was Anthony Hopkins, who's one of my favorite actors, Oscar award winning actor, brilliant, brilliant person. And he said, I'm talking like I met the guy, never met the guy, would love to meet the guy. And he said, what did he say? He said that what people have to say about you is none of your business. You know? And then I don't know if it was him, but someone else also said, it could have been him as well. He said, the things people have to say about you actually say nothing about you, but speak volumes about them. You know? So what people have to say is more really a reflection of them, especially if it's towards, if it's something negative, especially, geez. Like, do you know what you have to do to watch something, get upset, and then type a comment? Like, dude. And then that comment is still negative, It's like, nah, you're just an unhappy person. And unhappy people will always find a reason to be unhappy. And that's just unfortunate, man. I wish there were no unhappy people. But then again, if I want to put a positive spin on being unhappy, there's a lot of unhappy people that have, because of their unhappiness, become, you know, become geniuses. I really think that the suffering artist is one who becomes brilliant. Sorry, you're hearing a lot of noises. Um, yeah, it's a bit of a busy house here. I live in a house full of musicians. That's just my family. They are trumpet players and saxophone players and cello players and guitar players and singers and what else? What else do these people play? Violin players, violinists and all that and pianists and all that. And it's so weird, because there's only like four of us, but a bunch of instruments, real talented people. But anyways, so where was I? Totally lost my train of thought. I was I don't know. How are we doing on time? Okay, I think we're about 30 minutes in, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check there. Yeah, about 30 minutes in. That's good. That's all right. Just checking the time there. But yeah, so people have a lot of negative stuff to say, and it's so interesting, man. It's fascinating because, and that's also why, like, sometimes you hear a lot of gossip about yourself, and the gossip is sometimes not all fun and games, because gossip can be fun and games. It's literally just banter. You're just making something up about someone, or someone's making something up about someone else, and it's just fun to talk about, fun to explore, even if it's not true. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. What matters is that it's entertaining. you know and that's why celebrities are actually popular. Most of the stuff that you hear about them are not true, but it's fun to engage in a conversation about, technically a hypothetical situation, like like let me see, what was the one that I saw recently. It literally was in my mind just now, and now it's gone. Um but yeah, there's a lot of, like, just gossip that people have about celebrities that just isn't true, and that's called sensationalism, right? It's literally just to get your attention, just to get you to click on their faces or to watch their movies. um I do think that Hollywood operates on the premise that any publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity. So that's why, even like here's my theory. I'm not a big hip hop fan. I'm not. I listen to rap music sometimes. There are some artists that I do enjoy, but I never really have the time to listen to hip hop. Hip hop is such a huge, sphere of music, and I enjoy. For me, like, what my niche is, I listen to jazz music, I listen to classical music, I listen to soul music and R&B and all that stuff, and it's like, because it fits in with what I do. Like, I'm a musician, so as a musician I listen to that type of music, but yeah. So, like, what I think has been going on is, whenever there's a big controversy, there's always a distraction that comes with it, and that's like almost like a different controversy to get everybody to pay attention to that, completely forgetting something else that's going on. Like, for example, this whole beef with between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. First things first, both of these guys are signed to the same record label. Second of all, any music that gets published by that record label has to be approved, right? And that process takes a while, you know. And the other thing is, like, the songs that were released during this beef. First it was like, I don't know, a few weeks, and then the response came, and then eventually it gets down to like a few hours. Like, this song was dropped, and then in the next couple hours another song was dropped. Nah, man. What are you playing at? So if you do a little bit of research, which I tend to do so now and then, you discover that the record label that owns Drake and Kendrick's music um, is affiliated with P Diddy, and P Diddy currently is going through some heavy controversy with some allegations against him, and there's an implication against the record label that Drake and Kendrick are a part of. And so interesting. Look, they took all the attention away from P Diddy's mess and brought it to this beef. Plus, a lot of people have been saying that hip hop has been dying. The interest in hip hop has been declining over the past few years, and now it's like all of a sudden this beef has reignited the whole hip hop thing. Plus, beefs are part of hip hop, so it just makes sense that there would be this manufactured thing. And I don't think that this is the only thing. I don't think this is the only thing that happens. It happens in popular culture, yes, but it also happens in world politics. Like, do you really think that the COVID virus, the way that it spread, the news that came out, the weird regulations and rules and mandates that were forced on everybody, freedoms were taken away. We had to be stuck in our homes. Why did we have to be stuck in our homes for this period of time, you know. Then they say, oh well, you know, it should have been that we needed the time to prepare the hospitals for this pandemic. Yeah, but people were still getting sick anyways. People were still getting sick. And why were there so many people that get sick and then they fine? Why were there so many people that got infected and they didn't even have any symptoms? Why did some people have COVID and then few days later they're fine again? You know? Like, none of this adds up, dude. So, and there's a lot about it. I'm not gonna go too much into that. There's a lot about it, and actually, let's go into it. I don't even care right now. I'm gonna go into it. Like, I just think, why would it be the case that people are that governments are all agreeing that, oh, we should lock it all down, we should take away people's freedoms, you're not allowed to go outside, and if you do, you must wear a mask, and you must wear, you must sanitize and all that stuff. You realize the industries that make masks, that make sanitizer, that make these vaccines, they must have cashed in big time as a result, right? Not only that, but this virus, compared to the previous world pandemic, was mild. I know that there were a lot of people that died. I know people who have passed away from COVID. Very sad, right? People that, with the quote unquote comorbidities. But why was it such a big issue when the majority of people would have been unaffected? You know? And now you see they have this, what is it called? All cause deaths. You see a rise in all cause deaths as a result of these vaccine mandates. I promise you, if you look at the countries where the more severe the vaccines were mandated, there's a direct correlation between. I can't wait one day to actually have a producer with me. Then I can have like a screen, and that person can just, pull up the research, and then I can just read it for you, and it can show on your screen. You can read it as well if you want to. You can literally, prove, like, check my sources and all that. But there's a direct correlation between how severe the vaccine mandates were in a certain country and all these weird, unexplained deaths, even a decrease in life expectancy, especially in prosperous countries. Like, if you look at Canada's a very prosperous nation. However, their life expectancy has decreased. Their vaccine mandates have been one of the most severe vaccine mandates in the whole world, of all the countries in the world. And they all cause deaths have also been on the rise. All cause deaths are just those deaths that are basically, how can I put this? Just, yeah, where it's like, it's not clear that, oh, this person died in a car accident. Oh, this person got cancer. It's like these weird little incidents that take place where people just, get sick and die. It's so weird. And I do believe that this is worth more investigation, because I think there's a lot of the word I want to use is not appropriate for children or for anyone on YouTube. But yeah, there's some deceitful behavior going on here, and I think eventually the truth will come out. I just hope that the truth comes out sooner rather than later. There are people that are suing these vaccine companies for making them sterile. Like, there's people who, as a result of taking the vaccine, cannot have children. Like, like what? That's insane, dude. You mean this thing that they didn't really test much, that they rushed the process of developing, and they just mass produced it and sent it to everybody in the world and said, you guys have to take this? You mean that thing is causing this? And those are, I'm not talking about cases that are pending. I'm talking about cases that have been confirmed, where the companies have literally had to pay out millions just to settle with people who have been affected in that way by these vaccines, man. So I don't want to get into all of that, like COVID misinformation and vaccine stuff and all that, but to be honest, man, it's definitely shady, don't you think? It's very shady. So yeah, you can do your own research. Don't listen to me. What do I know? Don't take my word as the gospel. Take the gospel as the gospel. But but on a serious note, I do think it's worth thinking about, and I think it is our responsibility as human beings in society. Sorry, my nose is a bit stuffy. It is our responsibility as humans to be critical thinkers. Think critically, and the reason why people have to now use the word critically is just because the word think has become so dumbed down. I think like just what it actually means is to think critically is for me what that means is just ask questions, ask difficult questions, and try and find those answers, because once you do, you realize that there's every question that's answered opens up 10 more questions, and then you just go down this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole. And thank God that we have the internet, because now you can literally decide for yourself. You don't have to listen to just the news or some expert or some quote unquote expert on the news who thinks he knows something about something and then clearly doesn't. So it's always worth exploring these kinds of things. um, and it's also important not just to accept everything as truth. You can't accept everything on the internet as truth. You will find that if you search on the internet, are cigarettes good for you, it'll say yes, cigarettes are good for you. If you search, are cigarettes bad for you, yes, cigarettes are bad for you. So it's like you really have to do a lot of research just to get to the bottom of things, and I believe it's worth it. Unless you want to be like a sheep that just, okay, I guess butter's unhealthy now, we shouldn't have butter. Then 5 years later they say butter is healthy. Okay, yeah, I think we should have butter is very healthy. And then who knows, next time they're going to say butter's unhealthy. It's just like, yeah, let me not go too much into that. I think you get my point, is that don't just accept everything. Just question some things, man. Why must it be that way? Can't it be a different way? Because the other thing is, and I'm sorry to go so deep into the vaccine thing, but it bothers me, because I feel lied to. I took the vaccine thinking, this is a good thing to do. It's going to prevent the spread of the disease. And then later on you realize, actually, the spread of the disease and the vaccine doesn't really have a relationship. So it's like, I just feel lied to, honestly. And then you just don't trust the news anymore. You don't trust what people claim to be the science. You really, and by the way, science doesn't work that way. Science is like, here's the evidence of our findings up until it can be disproven. And that is what science is. It's always going to be that this will eventually be disproven because of new theories, because of new information, because of new research, because of new evidence. You have to be willing to accept that some things are gonna be right at the time, and later on they will be wrong. I mean, they used to say that smoking cigarettes was healthy. Back in the, I don't even know how long ago it was. I don't even think it was that long ago. Maybe in the 50s or the 60s, cigarettes was healthy. Later on, cigarettes are bad for you. Nowadays, vaping is fine. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, vaping is going to kill us all. Who knows? So it's like, you can only make conclusions based on the information that you have. And so if you arm yourself with enough information, you will be able to actually come to the correct conclusions. But then again, some people are just out of their minds, and that's also something you have to take into account. That some people are out of their minds. They're gonna get the same information you get and draw completely different conclusions. Because they filter it through the experience, and that's just what we are as human beings. That's what makes us unique. Am I speaking too fast? I think I am. Let me just slow down a little bit. Whew. But yeah, what else? What else? What's going on in life? I've been writing a lot. I've been trying to write not just my thoughts, but I've been trying to write jokes. I've been trying to develop a premise of a joke and figure out what would be a cool punchline. And I'm not ready to share. I'm not ready to share those kinds of things for now. I'm just going to share funny stories from my life, from my childhood. But or stories that I think are funny. Because funny is also subjective. Whatever's funny to you is funny to you. Some people like it when people fall off things and break their bones. Other people like it when you get a fright, and I'm one of those people. I like it when people are scared. It's hilarious. Not scared as in like my life's in danger, but just like a little fright, just like a wah, and you're like, love that, love those reactions. But yeah, what else, man? What else is going on in life? I've been trying to find more balance. Been trying to find more balance. I've noticed that the need for balance. I've realized the need for balance. I think my life has become stressful, and I really had to examine, because then you would blame it on circumstance. You're like, no, it's because things are like this. That is why I'm stressed out. Yeah, and then you realize, not actually, dude. You have a sense of control over your life, you know. So there's a lot more that you can control in your life than you think. And once you take action on the things you can control, is when you reduce your stress, I think. So for example, I've decided to schedule my life in a more lateral way, you know. I would try to in the past I would try to stuff a lot into one day, and then there's almost nothing happening in the other days, you know. And that's a bad move. That's a bad move. For example, with the show, I for me, I don't know why, but it's like I had to film, edit, and post on the same day, you know? But life doesn't allow that. You don't have all that time, man. So, you know, because you have things to do, you have responsibilities that you have to see to, you have things that you need to take care of, you have other, you know, interests to explore, other activities to participate in, you have work, you have school, you have this, you know, life just doesn't allow you to just do one thing all at once for the whole day. So, and if you do that, you're fortunate, you know. So I decided, okay, gonna film one day, edit the next day, and then, because right after this I need to go. I need to go. I need to eat, and then I need to go fetch my sister at school. Like, dude, that's life. And I'm not gonna be the one that complains that I have responsibilities. You cannot complain about responsibilities. Responsibilities are good. You should have responsibilities. And if you have less responsibilities, take on more responsibility, because it's fulfilling, you know? It feels good. So I'm gonna film this, and once I'm done, I'm gonna press stop, and then I'm gonna go. And then tomorrow at a certain time of the day, which I've scheduled as well, then I will be doing editing. I'll be sorting out this video, and then I'll have more time to do editing. So then I can actually improve the quality of my content, you know? So in a way, it's a benefit for the whole thing across the board. So, and it has the added benefit of avoiding stress, because I think, and I've come to this conclusion, and this is why I've decided to switch up how I do things. Stress is a killer. Stress is one of the major killers. You know, you get heart disease, you get, you know, stress, heart disease, and stress, and doctor error. You know, that's a thing. That's literally a cause of death, is a doctor making a mistake. It's wild. Um, you know, although who else do you want to leave your life in the hands of? You know, doctors kind of know what they're doing. They're also human, so they make mistakes. But anyways, so I think that I want to live a healthier life, you know? And even if I do all the right things, if I drink lots of water, if I eat right, if I eat on time, if I sleep well, if I sleep on time, if I, did I say exercise? If I do fitness, um, I can do all those things well, right? But if I don't manage my time well, I'm still gonna have a huge amount of stress. So you have to be consistent in everything you do, balance it out. You know, um, except for the things that are not in your control, obviously. Like, you can't schedule something that someone else is, you know, you can't reschedule something that someone else has set up. So, but you have to find a way to be able to do everything at once. So that's what I've been trying to do lately. I've been trying to figure that out, and it's been working so far. I mean, it's only Wednesday, so it's early days. I started on Monday with this new schedule, but it's been working so far, and it also allows me to pursue other projects, which is coming up soon. I hope that, I hope that, let's just say, I hope you're going to be on YouTube on Saturday, which for you would be tomorrow, because I'm posting this on Friday. But anyways, so yeah, what else is going on in life? Yeah, I mean, not much really, not much. I have been able to be a lot more creative, and I realized also, when you are busy with something creative, you kind of have to flounder around, mess around, until you find, oh, there's an idea, you know, there's an idea. It's like, you literally have to expose yourself more and more and more to the creative process for it to eventually kick in. You can't just be, unless you're gifted, I'm not gifted, in the slightest. I guess the only thing God really gifted me with was, short in stature. Thank you God for that one. But anyways, so it's like you have this. What was I saying now? I totally lost my train of thought. I was saying that. Oh. So creatively, you, like, in my experience, maybe you're fortunate enough to just be able to be creative from the get-go, or just while you're doing something always have ideas. I'm not that person. I don't have ideas constantly flowing through my head. In my head, it's just nonsense, flowing through. If I do this, then you can hear the garbage bins going. I don't know how garbage bins sounds, but anyways. So yeah, so there's all these garbage thoughts that I have, and that's the stuff I'm giving to you. So I hope you enjoy my garbage. Anyways, so I'm learning now that the creative process happens while you engage in it. You first have to flounder around, mess around, do this, do that. Oh, that doesn't work. Ugh, that doesn't work. Ugh, that doesn't work. And then you get an idea. Oh, and then you try it, and then wow, it actually works. So that's what I've been trying to do lately as well. So that's quite a fun experiment. Just trying to, and how wonderful it is now that I've balanced my life out, that I have the opportunity to engage in more creative processes. Like I said, I've been writing jokes. I've also been, composing music. I've been arranging songs. Like, oh man, I'm just having fun. Like, this is what I've wanted for the longest time. And the premise really for me changing my schedule was to build it around, first of all, my responsibilities, to make sure that nothing gets in the way of my responsibilities. And then also on top of that, as the second layer, was making sure that I'm able to get all the creative things that I want to do done. Practicing music, recording a cover, uh, writing an arrangement, working on a composition, coming up with I don't know, just those types of things, because I feel like that's me. I feel like that's what I want to do. Um, and I'm gonna do it until I don't want to anymore, and I don't think that's ever gonna come. I think even like, it's like the show. Like I never thought that I would look forward this much to doing it every day. It's really been fun. But yeah, we're getting close to the end of the day. Let's see, what else do I have on here. Yeah, I think we're done. Actually, we're done. So thank you for watching, and I actually have to get out of here now. I have a baby on the stove, and nobody likes overcooked baby. So yeah, let me just go take care of that. Have a wonderful day. I hope you've been good to yourself. You probably deserve it. And yeah, see you next week. Bye bye.